Hey everybody, it's David Pritchard and Riley Jatan and Lori Falk. We are all three Healy board members, and we are excited to share with you all about Healy tonight. I know some of you may already know a little bit about Healy. Some of you, this is brand new, but it's going to be a great night. Tell you, I travel quite a bit. My wife and I live in an RV. And right now we're staying at a lake in Arkansas where there's no internet. I have Skylink or Starlink, I'm sorry, but there's so many trees we can't get a good connection. So we are sitting in a car in Hot Springs, Arkansas right now, and doing the meeting from here. So let's just first quickly, I want to share what resonant frequencies mean, because this might be completely new to you. When I first heard about the Healy, it was in let's see, May of 2020, and Dr. Corrine Allen is a good friend of mine. She called me and said, "You've got to hear about this little Healy device." And we've trusted her all along for years and years and years. Anything about our health, holistic health, doing things more natural. So we really trust her when it comes to anything with our health. So I bought one on the spot, really not understanding 100% what it is, but she explained the frequencies work like this. Every cell in the body has a specific cellular voltage at a specific frequency that's ideal for that cell, whether it's a liver cell, a skin cell, a heart cell, even thoughts and emotions and brain waves, it's all frequency. Nikola Tesla said, about 100 years ago or so, if you want to understand the secrets of the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. And then even Albert Einstein said, the future of medicine will be the medicine of frequencies. So this is interesting. I had heard of a Rife machine where you hold on to these little copper bars and it sends a little mild electrical current through your body at a specific frequency. And that was way back in the 1930s, and they were curing all sorts of stuff. And the American Medical Association shut them down and said, no, we want to treat medicine with pharmaceutical drugs. We make more money that way. We don't care if they get well. We just want to make money, right? So if you understand that concept, you might understand why this was kind of hidden for so long. So the last 20 or 30 years, though, it's kind of been revived. You see all this stuff online, right? People saying, raise your vibration, stuff about frequency. It's kind of a new hip hop thing. So that's what you're going to learn about with this little Healy device. And I'm going to pass it on to Riley. Riley is awesome. And I want you, Riley, if you could just share your story, how you learned about the Healy, why you love the Healy so much, and tell us also a little bit about the company itself.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, David. Hi, everybody. My name is Riley Jatan. My dad and I, we do Healy together. We found out about Healy from some family friends of ours when my parents went out to vacation with our friends, and my brother, who's actually playing soccer at the time, and he had a huge growth spurt to the point where he had stretch marks on his back. And when he was walking, it felt like he was walking on Legos. So extremely painful. And so our friends had this unique tool, and they did a 20-minute pain program for my brother. And 2 hours later, his pain was gone. So because my family saw how the Healy and the frequencies helped my little brother, they wanted a device. So when they brought it home, I actually deal with a bunch of pain myself. I have a broken tailbone. It's actually been broken for 7 years now. And so a lot of lower back pain, a lot of back aches. So my dad actually plugged me into the Healy, and one of the gold cycle release programs is actually meant to reach the pain at its source and get rid of it. And that night I slept good for the first time in a long time. I woke up and I was excited to take on my day. I didn't hate myself for going to my awful job. My mental outlook on life was a whole lot better because your mental stress amplifies your pain. So what that program did was remove those stressors, release those tensions in my spine, and actually now I don't have to take steroid shots in my spine. I haven't touched a bottle of pain pills, ibuprofen, Tylenol, for at least 2 years now. So I'm a full-on Healy believer. I am very non-pro drugs. So if I can do something natural to help my body, that's where I lean more towards. And so with that, Healy's also given me an opportunity. I'm 23 years old. My background, I went to tech school. I was the first female to go through the HVAC program where I'm at here in Columbia, Missouri. And so at 23 years old, I looked at my dad crazy in the face when he told me, hey, why don't you quit your job and do Healy full time with me? And so since December of 2020, I have been doing Healy as a full-time job. So 2 years almost into it. And I'm loving it, traveling, helping build businesses with my friends and family, and helping them share health and wealth knowledge with people that are close to them. So with that business opportunity is so substantial. The Healy didn't start off in the network marketing world, social selling. This was the parent company to Healy is called TimeWaver, and TimeWaver was created by a wonderful gentleman named Marcus Schmika. He is a quantum physicist and also a monk. So he's brought spirituality as well as health together. And so he created TimeWaver, which is a bigger practitioner device that sends frequencies to the recipient. And so because this started as a practitioner's device, he wanted a smaller, unique option for the practitioners to sell. However, the practitioners weren't real good at that. And so that's when the Healy went to the social selling. So it went to the US market and worldwide. So the same frequencies and technologies in the TimeWaver are similar with the Rife machine. So when David said that, this has the same technology from, early 1900s, because they destroyed the Rife machine, this is when that technology took place from Germany. So it has come back to the United States, and it has the same technology to help us with our health and wealth. So from there, there was about $7 million at first year when it was open to the world as a social selling. And so once the Healy had opened in the United States in May of 2020, by the end of that second year, we had far exceeded $100 million worth in sales from the product. So from a business standpoint, there's a really good opportunity for those looking to share health and wealth with their friends and family, as well as use the technology for themselves for, it's cleared by the FDA for pain, chronic and acute arthritis pain, and muscle soreness, and numerous non-medical things. So mental, emotional, spiritual, it's all in there. It can help take care of it. I'll pass it on to you, Lori, if you want to take that.
Excellent. Excellent. Thank you, Riley. That was a great presentation. And, Marcus, he's just such a heart-centered human being, and he really wanted to get this high-end technology into 100 million families' homes within 10 years. And so he instructed his engineers and techno geeks to find something, make something that was affordable and wearable that would achieve that goal. So I heard about it on April 28th of 2020. And I was like kicking and screaming going into this call because I really didn't want to hear about yet another product. But as a health and wellness coach, my job is to make sure that my clients know what all the cutting edge technologies are. So I said, I'll listen. Well, about 5 minutes into the conversation, I said, that sounds to me like a biofeedback device. Well, this woman had never heard it referred to that way, but that is essentially what the TimeWaver is. The TimeWaver is this amazing practitioner level 40,000 plus device, and it's literally $40,000 plus. So, and what we have is a device. Our high-end device is $4,000, and that's the high-end one. We have others as well, but this has not. I wouldn't say this only has 10% of what that TimeWaver has. It has way, 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 way much more. The value of what you're getting is astronomical. And I say this because 25 years ago, biofeedback saved my life. There was a company back then, some of you may have heard of, called the QXCI. And that device was similar to TimeWaver. And I was dealing with major depressive disorder and chronic fatigue and anxiety. And I was dysfunctional. I wasn't able to work. I was barely able to take my dogs out. Let's just call it a spade a spade. And I went, after being on all these meds, because back then I didn't know what else to do. I went to the doctor and they were throwing antidepressants left and right, which just made me worse, to be honest. It never really improved anything. And finally, I met this naturopath that had a QXCI, and she did a scan on me and she looked at me and she said, "Were you ever in an accident?" And I said, "Well, I was hit by a truck in my late 20s. She said, "Where did the truck hit you?" And I said, "In my neck." And she said, "That explains everything." The scan actually showed on this biofeedback device that the C1 through C3 vertebrae in my neck were compressed. What happened was the injury created so much neck pain that the muscles contracted to the point that they contracted the vertebrae. And most of your neurotransmitters get made in your gut, and they weren't getting up my spinal column into my brain. She just looked at me and she said, "You can take all the antidepressants in the world, you're not going to get better. That's not the problem. And you'll ruin your kidneys along the way." So I would go as often as I could for biofeedback sessions. Well, here's the kicker. Even back then, those sessions were $100 to $150 a pop. So how many of those could you actually do? So I'd go for a session and I'd feel better, and then I'd save up my money and I'd go back for another session. So flash forward to 2020, and I'm listening to my colleague and friend, and she said, "Well, you can get," back then the high-end device at that time was $1,500. She said, "You can get one of these mini biofeedback devices for $1,500. Well, I did the math in my head and I went, that's 10 sessions. And that's at those prices. Now the sessions are $200 and up. Some places it's $300. So it was like a no-brainer. I literally signed up and ordered my device while I was out walking my dog. I was just like, yep, I'm in. That's it. Sign me up. So I say biofeedback saved my life because it did. But I'm going to tell you something else. The Healy gave me my life back. For 25 years, I had recurring major depressive episodes, 25 years, up and down, up and down, up and down. I couldn't maintain because I couldn't go for those sessions often enough. Well, now I have the Healy. I can run sessions on myself every day. I can run mental balance programs. I can run the release program to release all that stuff that's stuck, right? I can run the stem cell frequency programs to actually help heal my neck. I can honestly say that in 2 years, I have not had a crash. And I am so elated and so grateful and so want the world to know the capabilities of this device, because I'm that passionate, because it gave me my life back. So we all have our stories, and mine is pretty profound. And when you think of the mental health arena, I mean, it's bad enough we got the pharmaceutical industry in traditional medicine, but the mental health arena is so far behind. They can do blood tests for neurotransmitters, and they still to this day don't do those tests unless you know about them and ask for them. So I would love nothing more than the National Association of Mental Illness, NAMI, to get on board and let the world know that this is the answer for all those people out there struggling. My adopted brother committed suicide the day before his Healy arrived. So that makes me even more passionate. And I'm telling you, if you know anybody at all that has any mental balance program, this is the answer for them. But here's another cool thing. I have a pet, Gabby. She's back there. You can see her tail bouncing up in the air. And she's a rescue. And she spent the first 2 years of her life in an Amish breeding mill. Well, she was so traumatized that when I got her, she was afraid of her own shadow. Now, I'm a coach, and I have a lot of tools up my sleeve, and I used them all on her, and I talked to her, and she really, really knows that I understand what happened to her. But it wasn't until I got the Healy that the real transformation started, because you can put into this teeny little device, you can put yourself, your family, your pets, your clients. So I put Gabby in, and I started running a lot of the Bach flower essences and the bush flower essences, and those programs are designed to really get in and find the emotional blockages and clear them energetically. Well, probably maybe a month in, some of my neighbors started to ask me, they're like, what are you doing to that dog? And I'm like, what do you mean? I'm a good dog mom. And they're like, no, her whole little personality is changing. She's more friendly. She's more approachable. I mean, she'll even go up to guys with beards now. I'm telling you, she used to run the opposite direction if someone looked like they were an Amish guy. So it's just amazing what I have seen happen. And I've worked on dogs long distance even. And same thing. I mean, it's just, we have such a gift in our hands right here. And I just really want you all to know that. And that's my truth, and that's my heart. And I think David's going to now show us, he's going to give a little demo. And you might see Riley and I jumping in every once in a while, because our dear friend David has a little bit of an upper respiratory thing going on. So we're hoping that his Healy is going to keep him from not coughing. But if you need us, we're here, David.
All right, I appreciate that. Yes, I ran the Breath of Life program just right before this started out of the Deep Cycle group, so I'm doing well. So yeah, I'm going to first show you that this is the actual little Healy device. It's just 2 inches by 2 inches. And there are 3 different ways that we can do frequencies. And one is microcurrent, which would be similar to like a Rife machine. But the wires just plug into the Healy, and then they could either go to these electrodes on your wrist that you see me wearing right here, or you can use these adhesive electrodes. For instance, if you had knee pain, you'd put an electrode on either side of your knee, snap the ends of these, instead of onto the wrist electrodes, snap them right onto those adhesive ones and run the frequencies through your knee. I'm just going to clip this right to my shirt. Oh, actually, no, let me first show you. You can also unplug the wires. And we have this really, really cool accessory that everyone's in love with. And you saw Lori wearing hers with the coil. This is called the coil. It's an actual Tesla coil. It's actually 2 Tesla coils. You can see one there, and there's one underneath here too. You can't see. But you just slide it right into the back of the Healy, and it plugs right in where the wires would go. And now you have a wireless Healy. And that is an additional accessory. It does cost extra because they only invented that maybe a year ago or so. Hasn't been around the whole time the Healy has. And but it's really convenient, because Healy would say to only run 3 or maybe 4 programs with the wires, and to give your body some time to rest in between, even 3 or 4 hours in between each session. But you can run the ones with the coil back to back to back all day long, because instead of it going through the cells and the water in your body with microcurrent, like with the electrodes, this is more about balancing the energy in your bioenergetic field, because your body has this EMF field, and the quantum physicists now call it an information field, because it's full of frequency information that we can read with the Healy now. So the third way we do frequencies is through radionics, or it's in the quantum field. So I'll show you that as well in just a second. I'm going to plug back in the wires, and then I'm going to share my phone screen so you can see exactly how I run my Healy. I'm going to turn the Healy on. Little blinking light there. Clip it to my shirt so it's in my bioenergetic field. And then let me share my phone screen. Okay, so now you're seeing my phone screen. You see I have different apps for the Healy. We're just going to concentrate on these first 2. This is the main Healy app where you would run microcurrent programs either with the wires or with the coil. It's going to connect to my Healy by Bluetooth. And as you can see, I was running that Breath of Life program. It starts that right up again for me the next time you turn on your Healy. I'm going to cancel that. And I want to show you some of the different programs we have. So there's frequency programs called in all these different categories. This first one's called Gold Cycle, which were developed by a practitioner out of Portugal, one of these time waiver therapists. We have pain and stimulation programs. These top two programs are actually FDA cleared. So we are considered an FDA cleared class 2 medical device for pain, for arthritis pain, for muscle soreness due to overexertion. There's different categories. But over in Europe, their medical clearances even include things like anxiety and depression and fibromyalgia. So they recognize even more things. It's learning programs, fitness programs, job, so even things like activation and positive thoughts, sleep programs down here, mental balance. Lori talked a lot about that. Beauty and skin programs. Let me just show you what it looks like to run a program. Let's say I want to run this one called aging. Just click on the button. It tells me it'll be a 57 minutes, about 57 minutes, to use the electrodes on the wrist, or it does say down here you could also use the coil. I've got the wrist electrodes hooked up, so I'm going to hit start. When it sends all these frequencies over to the Healy by Bluetooth, that's what's happening when you see this bar coming across. And this is taking a little while, so that tells me there's probably hundreds of frequencies. So unlike if you've heard of a Rife machine like I had, that was typically just, you look in this big book, and if you want to do something for high blood pressure, you do one frequency, and you set a dial and you hit start, you're doing one frequency. The Healy, these time waiver protocols and time waiver sets of frequencies, they found that there's hundreds and hundreds of frequencies that could help with aging. So it sends them all over, and then as it runs the program, see it's starting with 18.8 hertz, but every 10 seconds that will change, and it's actually scanning against my bioenergetic field in real time, now 377.4 hertz, and it's adjusting for me. So if me and Riley and Lori and you were to all run this aging program at the same time, the Healy would actually select different programs or different frequencies for each of us, because it's scanning our field in real time to see what we need. So this little red dot's going to go around the circle for about 57 minutes. The line behind it is white in this case, meaning that I have good conductivity. I typically will turn up this intensity here until I can feel it a little bit. I hear about 45%. I can feel a little bit of just a sense of energy in my hands. And the white line means I'm getting good conductivity. So my body is part of the circuit. The two wrists, if I unplug one of these, notice that it'll go black because I've interrupted the circuit. So the frequencies are having to go through my body to go between the two electrodes, and it's going through all the cells and the water in my body. Okay, so I'm actually going to stop that now. Show you a few more of the program sets. Bioenergetic Harmony 1. For me, this nerves program was important. I'm going to show you in a minute how we can scan with the Healy to see which of these programs are most important for you. And for me, the nerves program came up early on because I had some numbness in my right hand, and I fixed it. Another program that was important for me was sciatica local. I had a lot of long-term issue with probably 10 years where I'd have this flare-ups of sciatica pain on my left side. The Healy would see that imbalance and tell me, you got to run this program. Sometimes I was having a flare-up, sometimes I wasn't. But the Healy could still see the imbalance in my field. And I ran it whenever it said to. And honestly, in the last 2 years, I've just had one flare-up when I was doing a lot of actual real physical strenuous stuff moving out of the house. So that's been really cool. Meridians, if you're familiar with acupuncture type meridians, those energy pathways. The chakras, those 7 energy centers in the body. Bioenergetic defense, bioenergetic support. These are all about youthfulness, vitalization, deep cycle, well-being, digital nutrition. There's just so many things. And at the end here, you'll see there's expert programs. This means you can actually work with one of those time waiver therapists, and they can even make you a specialized program just for you that then they can download to your Healy and you own it forever. So that's a really cool thing, that we can get these special programs made just for you, and you can own it on your Healy and use it for the rest of your life. All right, I'm going to leave this and go to this other app, just show you how we can scan real quick. There's a lot more you can do than what I'm going to show you tonight. Just don't have nearly enough time. Oops, got to turn the Healy back on so it'll connect. And you see there's resonance analysis, coaching analysis, and aura analysis. This is more about the chakras and aura. This is things like personal relationships and finances and business and all sorts of categories where you can do coaching. This is the part that Lori just loves, and she's an expert in. So the resonance analysis, though, is kind of what most people focus on at first. I just want to show you that you have clients. Here's myself. Go in there, finds the device that we're connected to. So it's scanning for the Bluetooth Healy here in this case. Once it finds it, I gotta make sure I'm connecting to the right one. Let me look at serial number. So I have more than one. It's the B7. Put that back on. And then that'll connect. And notice it says, with what do I have the greatest resonance now? So we're gonna scan all these different databases. We can choose what we want to scan, but it's taking all these frequency sets and saying which ones are most resonant with my field now that I need the most work with. So I'm gonna go to the database and you'll see, starting about here, are all those programs you saw in my Healy, from Deep Cycle, Digital Nutrition, Job, Meridians, Skin, Beauty, Sleep, all that stuff. There's extra ones too, it's like I Ching, which is traditional Chinese medicine, Schussler salts, vital substances. You might be familiar with Bach flower remedies, homeopathics, so Australian bush flowers, Alaskan gem elixirs, all these different holistic type approaches. And we have the frequency information of these different remedies that we can send into our field vibrationally. So let me show you how that's done. I'm actually gonna do this one called All Healy Programs, which that then scans all these ones that start with Healy to let me know which of these program groups are most resonant with me right now. So I hit Start Analysis, touch the screen. It's not actually scanning my fingerprint or anything. It's just a place of focus to touch the screen so I can have it scan me. Saying right now the #1 programs, there's something in the mental balance set that I need, the gold cycle set and the deep cycle H set. Another deep cycle set without the H, harmonics, and fitness. I typically focus on any that are 50% or higher, and you can see all 5 of these that it came up with are 50% or higher. They always bring up the top 5. But let's just, for fun here, look at like the #1 program for me, mental balance programs. So, well, first of all, I could go actions, vibrate, and I could do, this is the 3rd type of frequencies that we can do, right? We did the electrodes, we can do it with the coil, or in this program, we can do vibrational frequencies. So I'm gonna set this at a smaller, yeah, I'm clicking on the wrong thing. I'll click on my phone here. Let's do 17 seconds so you can see what's going on. But see right now what it's doing, the blue wavy line always is going on when it's scanning your field, so it's still scanning me. But the pink wavy line is the information it's sending into my field. And it's doing all this in quantum. With quantum entanglement, it's all this quantum physics stuff that I don't understand, but the quantum physicists do, okay? It's kind of like linking up with a radio station. You can, to that individual person, it's actually possible to do this kind of treatment even remotely. Your client doesn't have to be right there by you. It's really pretty cool. But I can also say, look, this is my #1 program. I want to go and do a scan within that. So I go back in here and select myself again. Go to Healy Mental Balance. There's 8 programs in that group, but it always brings up the top 5. So mental balance acute, inner unity, inner strength, emotional well-being, feel good systemic. So those are the most important ones for me. Again, I could go actions, vibrate. I would usually go a little longer time period, but again, I'll just do 8 seconds just so you can see. Again, it's scanning my field as it's sending the frequencies. I'm getting a little bit out of all 5 of these. But what I would see from this, beyond just doing that vibrational thing, is that my #1 program group was called Mental Balance. I had the most resonance. And the #1 program in that group is called Mental Balance Acute. So I would go over to the other app, click, open it up, go to the Mental Balance page, start the program called Mental Balance Acute, and either use it with the wires or the coil, or maybe I do one of each throughout the day. But I could also do these other ones throughout the day. And I could go back to the lists here, and I could go back to my All Healy and say, let me also scan within Gold Cycle. Maybe I want to run a couple of those today. So I can see what came up and go back later and choose and scan my field and just go forward with that. So I'm going to stop sharing my phone here. Is there any questions or anything that come up, or should I go on to the next section?
Wait, before you stop sharing your screen.
Oh, okay. You go back.
I just wanted to, if you could, go back to one of the lists and just run it for 17 seconds, because I want everybody to get a really key important point here. This device is working in real time. It's sending frequencies to you, and it's reading how you're reacting, and it's adjusting the program and then sending exactly what you need. And that's why there's a red line and a blue line, sending and receiving. I want you to know that those original high-end devices would do one scan and they'd be working off that data. Well, the minute you send frequency number one, it shifts the entire field. It shifts your energy. So the fact that on top of everything else that this does, that it works in real time is miraculous.
Yes, that is so cool. And that you can do that in this little tiny device. Like Lori said, it's usually a $40,000 device that can do the kind of biofeedback in real time. It's just awesome. All right, I'm going to stop sharing this screen and quickly share my computer screen so we can give you an idea of what the Healy costs, the different editions that we have. So we'll make this really quick. The Healy editions and prices. You can see we actually do have something called a Healy watch as well, but we're not going to really get into that today. So there's 5 editions of the Healy at 5 different price points, and the hardware is the same for each edition. So basically the difference in edition is what programs do you have access to? Do you have the beauty programs? Do you have the job programs? Do you have the deep cycle programs? Do you have the ability to do the resonance scans or the coaching analysis? And there's all these different app modules or programs. So when you purchase your Healy, you get all of this. And if you want to later upgrade to a higher edition, if you don't start at the highest, you can do that without having to get a new Healy. You just do an upgrade, okay? It's much more expensive to do the upgrade later than to buy the higher edition up front, just so you know, especially right now with these specials that we have. There's also a 14-day money-back guarantee from the day you receive your Healy, so you can play with it for 2 weeks. Change your mind, you can send it back and get your money back, but that is extremely rare. So look here at all these different program groups. This shows the name of the program groups and how many programs are in each one, up to 148 that are just in program groups. And there's app modules that have more functionality than just a program group, but many of them also have actual programs in them as well, as you can see. So there's as many as almost 300 programs that are microcurrent. And then there's those other ones I showed you, like homeopathics and Bach flowers. Those aren't even included in here. These are just the microcurrent that you can do with the wires of the coil. The lowest price Healy is called Healy Gold at about $500. Now, if you're in another country, this is in US dollars, but we are in 50-something countries, so it would convert pretty closely to, if you're familiar with US dollars, you can probably figure out in your mind, but we can also get you that information if you need. But the lowest price one here, Healy Gold, only has 11 microcurrent programs. You saw a lot more than that on my Healy, right? And it has one app module called the search module, which is pretty cool. All the Healys come with that. It allows you to type in a search term like cystic fibrosis or anguish, or it could be physical, mental, emotional, whatever. And it searches a time waiver therapist database to tell you which programs on your Healy would help with that specific situation. So that's another way you can kind of help determine what programs maybe you should run. The Healy Professional is our most expensive Healy at about $4,000, but all of the editions except for the gold are half price right now. So even this one is only about $2,000. But that's going to have 216 different microcurrent programs, 6 different app modules. So it comes with not everything that the Healy can offer, but it's most everything that the Healy offers. Whatever edition you have though, from gold to professional, let's say you start with this resonance edition, but you really, really want these deep cycle programs, or you really want this aura analysis module, you can add anything that doesn't come in yours with a monthly subscription. but the ones that come in your edition are yours for life and you own them forever. So you can see we go from gold, which has 11 programs, to holistic that has 63. At resonance, you have 98, and you've added now the resonance module where you can do the scans like I was showing you, where I saw that I needed to run in the mental balance programs. When you go to Resonance Plus, you have 124 programs, and you've added the aura and coaching modules, and at professional, 229 programs, and some of the most popular ones, of course, right here. So with the half price offer, everything except gold is half price. If you do get holistic, it'd be about the price of a gold. But at this, just remember at this level, you're pretty much just choosing your own programs from these set of 63, and you are not doing any scanning. You can't do the scan of your bioenergetic field like I did in the resonance module. You need this resonance edition or higher. At these prices, though, we typically would say, you know, if you can afford the professional, you should do the professional. And if you can't afford the professional, but you really like the professional, if your credit is good, we do have a Klarna financing option right at the checkout screen where you can apply and get even 18 or even 24 months of payments, and it'll give you your, you know, you have to apply, but it tells you right away, and it'll give you your interest rate and everything. Otherwise, you normally just pay with a credit card. The Healy coil is about $225. And lastly, I'd just like to talk about the idea that you can become a member, which doesn't actually cost anything, but we are using network marketing to get the word out. And that's why we're growing so fast, because we're all having these amazing experiences, sharing it with our friends, family, or even complete strangers if you're into internet marketing and stuff, and just seeing this huge growth with Healy. So because if you are a member, which is free, you can earn commissions for referrals. You can actually earn another free device. So many people buy a Healy and then earn a second Healy to use in their family, or to use as a loaner, or to sell outright, whatever you want to do. And I believe this is going to be one of the biggest network marketing companies in history, and we're at the very, very, very beginning of it. So with that, that is my presentation. Ladies, do we have anyone asking any questions that we should cover?
I don't see any questions that we need to cover, David, but I do have a point that I'd like to make, actually two. First of all, the professional is $2,000. I just want you guys to do the math on this. That's 10 biofeedback sessions. I don't know about you, David and Riley, but I probably run 10 in 2 days. So, right? I mean, it's just absolutely a no-brainer at that price. And the other point that I wanted to make, and I know you mentioned the expert programs, if you know anyone, or if you yourself has a chronic ailment, illness, disease, whatever you want to call it, those expert programs are phenomenal. You can actually work with a high-end time waiver practitioner, and they'll send those frequencies right to your device for a minimal fee, and you'll have them for life, and you can run them every day. So anyone with any kind of serious health challenges, that's exactly where I send them, is to get a time waiver expert program.
Awesome. And Riley, did you have anything else you want to say here before we wrap up?
We did have one question here in the chat. Where's a good place to find some research that helps back up frequency information? Where's a good resource?
Okay, a couple ideas. If it's specifically just about frequencies and energy medicine, I would go places like PubMed, pubmed.gov, or google.scholar.com. Both of those are places where you can search scientific journals. And if you type in like energy medicine or resonant frequencies, I can tell you that they do something called frequency specific microcurrent right at the Cleveland Clinic. So this isn't brand new idea. There's a lot of science behind what we're doing. If you're looking a little more specifically for the Healy, we have been doing, you know, it's pretty new, but we have been doing some more survey-based types research and checking, but I don't think all of that's published yet, although I think at least one of them is published as part of the manual with Healy. But you could just go to healy.shop and you could look around on that page. There's even a tab that says something like the scientific basis of the Healy, and it goes in a little bit more of the science behind what's going on. Now, that's not how you'll be able to order. If you're at Healy.shop and you try to place an order, it's going to say, you've reached this page without a referrer. You need a referrer, which is whoever told you about the Healy. So you want to get, you can go look at the information at Healy.shop, but when you're ready to order, you really need to contact the person that told you about the Healy. And they will provide you a link that links you up to them, so they would get credit for referring you. So does that all make sense? Yep, Lori said type in biofeedback. Any of these terms that we've used, quantum entanglement, I mean, there's a lot of information.
And I think there's an important program category that we should mention. There is a program called Rebalance that Marcus's colleagues came to him and said, you know, the world's been turned upside down in the last couple of years. We would really, really, really like it if you would make a program that would rebalance everyone's mental, emotional, physical, and spiritual immune systems. Really, I didn't know we had 4. Did you? Well, we do. And this program is 100, I think it's 102 minutes long. And it literally goes in and rebalances you from all the chaos and things that have been thrown at us with the pandemic, with politics, with wars, with everything that's been happening in the world. There's a lot of emotional stress that's gone on with this pandemic from all the lockdowns and the isolation and things like that. So know that that's out there. And as an aside, it was not designed for this, but what they found out when they did the survey was that it actually helps vaccinated people twice as well as it helps unvaccinated. So that is a pretty phenomenal piece of information. So if you know anyone out there who got vaccinated under duress and is concerned about the effects that it may have had on their body, there's your answer. Someone asked, which level of the Healy are you talking about?
I just looked that up, Lori. It's that program you're talking about called Rebalance is part of the Power of 3 group, which is at the resonance level or higher. So resonance, resonance plus, or professional would have that specific program. Yes, Kelly, is there going to be a recording? Yes, we've recorded it. I will upload that, and then the person that told you about the Healy should be getting that replay link by tomorrow morning sometime. So yes, please reach out and find out what the link will be once I get it uploaded to YouTube. Anything else? I think we pretty much covered it, everybody. So we'll say good night. We do this every Monday night, but we'd love for you to get involved. You want to take advantage of these prices. They are good till the end of August, these half price. But you know, my approach when I heard this, I was like, I got to be part of this business. I want to join quickly so that I can offer everyone else I know this same discount up until the end of the month. Because when I joined, there was also some kind of a discount. And so I wanted to let people do that. So jump on board. Remember, you got that 2-week trial to try out the Healy. And then, but you can start sharing with the people right away, either the recording from tonight, or we'll be doing this again next Monday live. Thank you, everyone, and good night.
Thank you so much. Good night.